Hello everybody, Jose Rodriguez back again. If you guys heard and watched my Sunday evening live stream this past Sunday, you may have heard me say that I have run out of topics to cover. Yeah, I have. Everything that I have covered even months ago or years ago is still relevant to color printing. So all of the basic procedures are relevant. They will not change now or in the future unless the technology disappears and is replaced by something brand new. So please use the comment section to suggest topics that I may not have covered. How would you know that? Well, you should be looking at my playlist and search. Spend some time searching. It's really good. And you will very likely not have anything to ask me about because it's all there. I have tried to cover just about everything. I'm probably not going to be getting a P900 at this point. It's $1,000 probably, and I simply don't have that kind of money to spend on a new printer at this point. And very likely it will not be open to third-party products anyway, at least not for quite a while. So go ahead and post suggestions about videos that you may want me to start producing or start answering. I am finally going to be doing these papers here. Yes, I promise you that. But anyway, let's get to the subject of this one. Precisioncolors Signature Edition inks came out. Okay, after a lot of testing, I tested some pre-release samples and I liked it a lot. I compared OEMs, strictly OEM 100%, using the driver, ProLuster paper, everything matching on the Pro-100, and I love the results. Then I loaded a second set of cartridges that were flushed, cleaned, dried, reset, and filled with Precisioncolor Signature Edition, and I loved it. Okay, even more. And the thing is that I cannot figure out why the original profile for ProLuster for the Pro-100 did not produce a perfectly neutral result. I'm going to show you that. So here is two monochromes printed from two converted RGB files. The top one is OEM. You can see right there OEM, and you can see PC. The top one is OEM, the bottom one is PC. This looks kind of magenta-ish, a little warm to me. This looks more neutral. It's actually almost leaning slightly to a cooler tone. So when you print monochrome, this is when you're going to see minute differences in rendition by a particular ink set or a particular result on paper. Paper has a lot to do with how ink is reflected back to you, the colors that is. So that same ink may produce a different result on another paper. Okay, same thing with OEM. That's why there are individual profiles for every single paper. Okay, they need to do that because you're not going to get the same color rendition. Now let's look at blue, and we're going to get to the final one at the end, so bear with me. So let's see what kind of results you get with something, okay, ridiculously blue or purple. Beautiful show engine on a race car, whatever. I'm looking at this and I'm going, holy cow. Hardly any difference. Okay, I went speechless there a little. But you can see how amazing that is. This has kind of a, I don't know. I see a slight tint here, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. This is a little bit more, I don't know, more punchy than this one. I see a little bit of detail here. Like it's not dark enough, but here it's a little bit darker. Let's see what else we got. We hardly have any other color except for that crazy blue. We have some yellows here, and there's no difference between those whatsoever. All right, so let's take a look at the back. OEM is top, PC is the bottom. I think you guys are getting the drift. It's pretty much a pattern. OEM will always be on top. This looks a little bit more intense, I guess. I don't know. Again, remember this is with the OEM profile. So had I made, and I think I did, created a custom profile, then any kind of slight differences that you might see will be sort of taken care of, because you cannot internally calibrate a Pro 100 like you can calibrate this puppy right here. So you have to go the profile route when you switch over to a well-matched OEM ink. So this image here, oh, we're going to cover this one up. You may have seen already what it was. This image here is pretty much almost monochromatic. So there are some nuances that we need to look at here. Obviously, a gorgeous young lady dancer. And I love the background. I don't know where this was shot, but it is just full of graffiti, very subdued, almost dark, if you will. And then she's backlit, and somebody has a fan, obviously, blowing her tunic or whatever that is around. And we're looking for neutrality in this region right here. So again, you already know OEM is on top. This is very neutral here as well. This one happens to be neutral, okay? So looking at the colors of the background, hardly any difference. The only difference that I see, and it's very slight, this region right here where it's almost going toward black, it's a little bit darker. It's a little bit blocked up, if you will. And again, this is with the OEM profile. And I will give you my theory as to why that happens. And then we're going to give you with the coup de grace, if you will. So OEM profiles. Think of a gamut bubble as a 3D, not spherical. That would be theoretical, but really it's more of an oblong, weird shape with facets and, you know, shapes and edges like this. And you can move it around and look at it. The north and the south. White is at the very top and black is at the very bottom. Now, OEM profile never produces a point that is at the black point. In other words, it kind of like it's a little bit higher than that, 3D like. So it's almost like a very dark gray. So what happens is that the printer, when using the OEM profile, will never print a super rich black, okay? Never. Then you go to a third-party ink whose black happens to be stronger than OEM, and it just gets lost. Basically, it prints beyond that point and produces a deeper tone where you sort of see detail because it's not a real black. It's almost like a very, very dark gray. That's what was happening right here. Let me get the OEM again. We're going to go ahead and concentrate on these areas right here. So this is OEM, this is PC. So these areas here are still visible. Here they're getting lost. But if I make a profile of my own, I will get those tones back. Okay, that's what happens. And it's all because of the fact that an OEM profile has to be made to cover the output of thousands, if not millions, of Pro 100s. Okay, I don't know how many they made, but I'm just guessing. So if the Pro 100 gamut can vary this much, okay, among all of those millions, then the profile has to be inside the minimum error point. In other words, you have this so-called latitude, if you will, and the profile has to be inside so that all the Pro 100s produce prints that basically look identical, even though the outputs are not identical. You see what I mean? So when you make a custom profile, it's taking into account the output of that particular Pro 100 and correcting it for you. So let's look at the final one. My fish, the beta fish. And this caused some questions out there by people. Let me see if I can trick you. So if you look at the fins, and people told me that the standard evaluation image with the strawberries, that sometimes the strawberries were not printing as they expected them to be, red. they were printing sort of like orangey type tone. Can you see a slight bit of orangey tone here? I see it. I don't know whether you can see it in this venue here, but I see it clearly in front of me, right here. This is printed with OEM on Pro-100 on ProLuster with the ProLuster profile. Okay, this is PC, printed with a ProLuster paper, Pro-100 ProLuster profile, not custom profile. You can clearly see the difference. Also, I added a new cyan that they put out very quietly. I tested it. I got rid of my original cyan signature edition, and I then added that new cyan to the mix. You can see the difference immediately right there. Let me give you a wider view here. You can immediately see the difference. This is what it looks like more on my monitor. A lot richer. The reds are truly red. The cyans are rich and dense. And here is sort of washed out. This is OEM ProLuster and ProLuster Profile Pro-100 PCSE with the new cyan ink in ProLuster and ProLuster Profile OEM, not custom. Hope you follow me so far. You can see the difference immediately. Okay. If I was to show anyone just out of the blue these two prints, they would pick this one over this one. You would have to have a weird reason to pick this one out. I don't know. Visually, it matches my monitor. And gosh, you know I'm an anal monitor calibrator. Okay, that monitor is to the point where I don't even have to go back to compare. But I did in this case just to make sure. And so yeah, it is amazing. So, what does that mean? To me, it just means that I get a more, shall we say, again, I go back to that topic, neutrality. My monochrome images print neutral, on ProLuster at least. I haven't really gone to other papers yet and use their profiles and see how they respond to that ink set. But so far, this combination seems to be working perfectly. Okay, and it's really weird that the OEM ink results don't really come up to par, and I would think that they would blow PC inks out of the water. I mean, all right. So anyway, take that with a grain of salt. These are the results. This is not anecdotal as I was accused of producing. That's all that I supposedly talk about. This is actual testing. I did it myself. Had it not been the case, I would have told you the truth. All right, I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. And as always, happy printing, everybody. Bye-bye.